I'm a little cozy wozy. Cozy wozy rosy. So, dark emotions lately, how to alchemize them, what it looks like to allow yourself to go through the process of the dark emotions. Um, challenging, not easy. Definitely one of the hardest processes that we go through, in my personal opinion, on this planet, because it's not a tangible thing, and sometimes we don't know when it's going to stop. It's like, please stop already. um, but I will say that as I go through the process, because as you guys know, I myself, I don't just talk about this stuff. I actually am going through the process while I talk about it, and that's why I can talk so much, because I talk from personal experience, and God knows life has so many experiences to give us. It's never ending. And sometimes the experiences are painful, and but I would say that, and again, going through the dark night of the soul, cosmically, I think we're going through a reset. But you have to go through the shadow. It's almost like going through a vortex, right? If we saw it as sort of going into this black hole and then trying to come out of the other end of it, is sort of what we see occurring. And it's been challenging, and I can tell you it's exhausting. Well, for me at least. Now, I don't know what you guys are experiencing in your life. You guys are more than welcome to share as we talk today. But it's just been a challenge. It has been probably the most emotional opening that I've had, the biggest emotional opening that I've ever had to face. And it's not that I don't like emotions, but I'm more of a logical, rational, strategic thinker. Like, my brain goes to that more, it leans to that side a little bit more. And so it's not that I'm uncomfortable with emotion, it's just that it's not as easy for me to go there. And some people lean a little towards, more towards emotion, and are uncomfortable with the logical, rational side of the brain. But what we're, hey Betty, how are you? Cheers. But what we're trying to do is to rectify the both of the sides, the emotional states and the logical and reasonable, rational brain, and they're different. I mean, they are. You can't say that they're the same, but they work together if you allow them to, and we have the ability to work through them together. And so last night just let out so much emotional trauma. Like, literally, I released all of this stuff inside of me, right? It's that point where you're crying, and at the root of your gut, you can feel it just coming out, and you just like panting, and it almost sounds like you're crying. That's how I mean, laughing. So, when you get to that place where you're crying and you're like, people are like, wait, are you crying or laughing? Do I laugh with you, or do I rub your back? Which one do I need to do? It was that point of allowing that to come up and out. Why is it good to do that? Because now I feel empowered, right? I feel a little bit better. Now, I'm not saying I'm not going to go through more emotional stuff, because that's really what's being called forth right now, is that we step into our emotional state of being, and we allow ourselves to go through the process of that emotional state, whatever it is for you, and that we go through the entire process. Now, it's a little scary, and I've talked about that too. It could be scary, right? So if it's scary, it's almost like, ooh, I'm walking into a dark room and I don't know what to expect. And perhaps, it's like walking into a haunted house or something. Like, I ain't gonna do that. But if I absolutely have to, in order to get to whatever, the promised land or the light, okay, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna be brave and courageous and go through it. I mean, I've gone through some pretty crazy stuff in the physical world where I'm like, oh God, am I going to do this? And sometimes people live a nightmare on this planet, and they find the courage to walk through the darkness, right? Or, to escape, or, people have done, there's been some crazy things that have happened, but our mind itself does that as well. And sometimes we're just afraid, like little puppies afraid, just to go into the darkness, into the shadow, and it's scary. It's not a fun place to be. sometimes. And probably one of the most challenging places will be is the subconscious, the dark, the shadow of our minds, the things that really feel real to us. But it's funny because is it real? Well, no, it's a thought. I mean, you can't touch it. It's an emotion. You can't touch emotion, So it's like, what do I do with this thing that I can't touch? That it's there though. This is kind of weird, right? When you think about emotion, it's not tangible. And so allowing yourself to go through those dark places of the mind just so that you can cleanse them, right? Good morning, Nina. So you can cleanse those places. And when we start to cleanse, it's not that they go away, okay? Like for me, I've told you guys I have rejection issues, right? Like I have these these problems with rejection or these problems with abandonment or whatever it is, okay? And you guys might have whatever your issues are, right? And you guys can share them and we could talk about them if you choose to, okay? Good morning, Angie. Is that I have these abandonment issues or I have these rejection issues, and most people are like, oh, I don't want to feel that. I don't want to feel the rejection. I don't there's there, And it's really what they're saying is I'm afraid to experience the emotion that comes with that. I'm afraid to go through the darkness. I'm afraid to go through the subconscious mind. I'm afraid of what might be extracted or the pain that I might have to go through, right? Because you're going to have to go through some emotional event or trauma. And it's usually, not usually, it always stems from childhood. And then we're like, but we don't want to live there. But that doesn't mean you have to stay there, right? So it's okay to go through those places. And like the way that I think about it is that the darkness is our dark emotions are the subconscious mind, the scary places of our mind that we're afraid to go to. Think of having a beautiful, like the kindest, most beautiful person walking you through it, like a little grandma saying, it's okay, I have your hand. You're going to see things and you're going to experience things and it's not going to be comfortable, but I'm here with you. You always have a guide. There's always that something there to help guide you through the process. But what I think happens is people get so scared they start to run the opposite way. It's like, for me, I'll be honest, if I went into a haunted house and the first time I was scared, I would run right back out. I'm like, I'm going to the rest of it. I'm not going to get to the other side of this. I'm just going to go back through the entrance the way I came in, and I'm not even going to make it to the exit. But our dark emotions, right? If we do that, if we bail out, if we find a back door, if we exit or go through the entrance and run back to the entrance without ever being able to go through the process and exit out, then what ends up happening is that we play out scenarios in the physical world. In other words, Jesus is my guide. Amen, sister friend. Jesus is my guide too. And so in the material world, right, we're like, oh God, we're afraid. But in the subconscious mind, it's like there's not a tangible person to guide us. It's us that guides us, right? And then, like you said, Jesus or whatever whoever your spiritual guide is going to guide you through it. But if we don't go all the way through, the subconscious mind sort of traps that energy in your head, and then it sort of plays out in the physical world, and we start to see it develop in the material world. And how does that develop? It develops in the form of relationships or the patterns that we create, the patterns that we have, and we're going, that pattern keeps showing up. Why? Why does that pattern keep showing up? Well, because you haven't really dealt with it. And even with me, like I was talking to my mom and I told her, look, Mom, patterns don't just change. It's really, really, really a complex thing. We are complex. We're not, we're simple, but we're complex, and our thoughts are very complex. And so to change, it doesn't happen overnight. People know that, right? And it takes very skilled and it takes courage to be able to go through these processes and ask ourselves and be completely honest with ourselves about it. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to be totally authentic and raw with yourself. You have to be able to and willing to accept the feedback that you're getting from the people. How would we know how we are creating what we're creating unless we engaged with somebody, right, who told us, like, look, this is what you're doing. This is the experience I have of you. So you go to counseling, you go to coaching, it's really accepting the fact that you are not perfect, but you're perfectly imperfect, of course, right? But accepting that there are some shadow sides to you, and that's okay. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You're perfectly perfect in your own right. It's just that you haven't accepted that side of you because it's scary. And I understand that. It's scary to go through the darkness, and people think they're going through it alone. Something else that I talk about in the darkness is, again, you turn off the lights and then all of a sudden you can't see, but you do see that. That's what the moon, la luna, right, is a representation of the night. Okay? In an esoteric perspective, we see the moon as the light in the darkness. And it's not a big bright light like the sun that illuminates maybe all of, right, everything. But the sun casts shadows as well, but the shadows aren't as big in the night. The night is just a big shadow, okay? And we go through the night every single day. we go through the night, we have the night. So we see it here. So it's a part of us. It's a part of even the situation. The sun sets, the moon comes out. Sometimes it's so dark outside. We're like, whoa, it's really dark. There's no light. Maybe you're in your car driving and you can't see down the road. You're like, oh, we need some more lights. But we're trying to illuminate the darkness, right? And then that we become fearful of it. Now think about it. Like, I just want to, like, let's do this for people. Let's understand it from this perspective. Think about us people who live in the city, okay, and have lived in the city. In New York, let's just say you were born in New York, there's lights all the time. I mean, it's a big ball of blinking electricity light and it's bright, and you can barely see the stars because it's bright, so bright. Okay, you take a person from New York and put them into the woods by themselves, they are going to be frightened out of their mind. I'm not saying everybody, but typically they're going to be frightened. Where's the light? They're not going to have light to see in the dark. I mean, they're used to seeing everything in the dark. But we know that if you go out into the woods and there is no light, and let's say it's a new moon and there's no really a moon to illuminate, we know that there's some very dark spaces. And it's kind of creepy because it's unknown. And then you start to hear noises and you're like, what's that? What's this? You start making up stuff in your mind. Like, maybe it's an alien. But we freak out. I mean, most people, I don't know, but would you sleep vulnerable under the stars at night? I've done it, and it's a vulnerable place. And I know if it's vulnerable for me, it's vulnerable for a lot of people. Right? But I didn't do it alone. Of course, I didn't do it alone because I needed somebody there to protect, right? I felt like I needed protection in order to actually live out this scenario. But the reality is that the darkness is sometimes very scary for us. If it wasn't, why do we have all this electricity? I would say yes because people drive and stuff like that. But no, people will keep their house lights on. Kids need a night lamp in their room because they're scared because they heard of the Kukui, or they heard of the La Llorona, or they heard of, that's my New Mexican stuff coming out, or they heard of, the boogeyman or whatever it is, right? They have all these, the scary man in the closet or whatever it is, and they're afraid. It's really what it is they're afraid of the darkness, right? And so for us, and what this relates to is our subconscious mind, right? We're afraid of our subconscious mind because it's an unknown. It's a scary thing. We just put a lid on it sometimes and be like, all right, stay there and don't come out. You just stay there and don't come out. I don't want to relive this trauma. Now, I'm not saying you have to relive it. And in fact, if you've healed, right, from it, and you recognize it when it surfaces, and you're able to transmute the energy as it arises and create the circumstances and conditions you want in your life and see the world as you choose to see it, then I say awesome. But sometimes what we do is we put a lid on it, think it's gone, and then somehow we create scenarios in our life and we don't know where they're coming from. And we're going like, well, how did I end up in this situation again? That takes us perhaps opening the lid up and looking inside. Not to stay there. I want to really stress that this is not about, going in and rehashing your childhood and living there forever. But sometimes we have to look at that again. And we have to say, okay, what part of this have I not healed? What part of this of my mind have I not healed and transformed and really, 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 really given myself permission to heal from this scenario? And then again, the secret sauce, forgiveness, right? Gratitude, love. I mean, it's a process I use. Doesn't mean that you have to, but that's what I call my secret sauce. That is the secret sauce. You want to know what ingredients I put in? That's the ingredients I put in to help to make it spice it up and make it taste good, right? Instead of just taste so bitter, let's put some spice in it to help to chew off the flavor or whatever, or to chew or to swallow the flavor or whatever it is. So we're putting the spices in it, but so going through the dark emotion. So we are in a dark space, and I invite you guys to really ask yourself, right? Is like, okay, ask yourself, is this journey that I'm on? Am I going through some dark emotions? What do I need to look at? Is it something from the past that I haven't yet healed from? And can I, because I don't dare you to just go in there alone. And like I said, we have guides, but maybe you need coaching or counseling, whatever it is that you need to do. Do I take a deep dive into the subconscious and extract the very thing that is causing me or hindering me from truly healing and really having healthy relationships? Because that's really what it's about, right? It's the healing ends up being the facilitator, or it ends up being kind of this connection, or the facilitator, I want to say facilitator for healthy relationships. To be able to communicate. Hello, Fibar. To be able to communicate, right? Communicate the experiences that we're going through. And I will say this, I feel very honored that I've been able to come to a point where I can speak about my emotion without people getting hurt at my experience. And in other words, the people that I feel sort of programmed me this way. That I'm able to go and have this communication with them and say, look, here's what's coming up. I recognize that it's not you. I recognize that I have to go through it, and I recognize that I need to heal from this, but that I'm able to communicate it. That's the point where we start to heal, because now we're taking what's in our head and we're expressing it into the material world. And that's really I'm not going to say the only way, but that's the beginning of actually materializing emotional stuff within us. We take emotion from our head, which is, we can't touch it, it's not tangible, into expression, which then makes it a little bit more tangible because there's wind and word and symbol behind it, into a creative expression, perhaps art, right? That's why they say that artists are more emotional. It's an expression. They're trying to bring to life good morning, mama, what's in the head into the material world. They're trying to express what's in the thought, in the mind, the intangible, the thing that you can't touch. I can't touch a thought. I can't touch your thoughts. And that's what makes it so complicated. But with the creative mind, they're trying to release that emotion into something tangible. And they get as close as they can. but sometimes it's not everything they want it to be. They're like, I envisioned it this way and it came out that way. But that's okay. That's their emotion on paper. Or people write poetry or write songs, and that's where the arts comes from. It comes from our expression, our want, our desire to materialize our emotion into a material space. It's like, I want to put my emotion into something that is tangible. So we don't. We typically will hold the emotion back, and then you have people who are rational, reasonable, and really what the logical people are really just saying, I choose not to focus on my emotion, and I choose to put a lid on it and pretend it doesn't exist. If we're completely left brain and doing that, and I know that that's where I lean towards. I'm not much of a creative. I do get into creative spaces where I write. I used to write music and listen to music and dance, and that was my creative expression. But I lean towards, let me just put a lid on it and let me just read and figure it out through somebody else's words. And it's not an external thing, right? It's a very internal, personal thing. Our emotions are very personal, very internal, they belong to us. We can't give them to anybody else. I can't give you my emotions. I mean, I can totally project my emotions on you and you can absorb that energy, of course. But I can't, you don't live in my body, and I can't give you my exact emotions and feelings and thought processes and all that stuff, right? You're uniquely you. So that's where the challenge exists. We're trying to give it to somebody, or we're trying to express this thing that it lives within us that doesn't have form or shape. You can't touch it. And we're trying to let it live in the material world, the expression of it. That's why I say, go through the dark emotions, allow yourself to truly walk through it. And then on the other side of that is that creative space. Good morning, bestie. Cheers. When you allow yourself to go through the dark spaces, and remember that you're not alone. You're never alone. And I think this is where people get very scared because they don't want to go through the haunted house alone. No one wants to go to their subconscious mind alone. This is where spiritual guides are really important too. Asking yourself, if someone could lead me through the darkness, okay? Ask yourself this question. If someone could lead me through the darkness, who would I choose to walk with me through? It's like the haunted house. If there was a haunted house that I had to go through, who would I take with me to walk me through? Who would guide me through that? Who would help me be my eyes in the darkness? Who would help me support me through that? Never have to do it alone. You've got to face the fear internally, but you have a guide walking you through the process, is what it is. So as you continue to go, and as it may help, yes, God, awesome. That's a great answer. I love that. Absolutely. That's just guided me my whole life. God, my entire life. I'm like, God, help me with this. Walk me through this. That God, sometimes it's spiritual guides, right? For people to walk them through the darkness. Jesus, like Betty said, Jesus walks her through the darkness. That's, I mean, literally, there's no, it's who you feel. Could be a friend, could be, but whatever it is, you allow that energy to support you, that person, you visualize it, right? As you walk through the subconscious mind and you say, guide me, show me, be with me. And allowing yourself to go there, but never alone. You don't have to do it alone. It's a scary place, I know. I have to visit it every once in a while and heal from it, and things resurface all the time. Without him, we are nothing. Amen. I agree. It's because of God, right? And we pray. And that's what I do, is pray. But we can't deny the shadow. Okay? There's no denying it. So we don't have to anymore. I think that we've lived in a world, especially the Western world, where we've denied it for so long that we've just sort of acted as though it doesn't exist, but it does. Okay? And the acceptance of it is not saying, oh, this is a bad thing. It's saying, okay, it exists. Now, how can I move through this? But guess what? You're going to be totally fine. Everything's going to be great. Some people are just a little bit more sensitive. So it's your sensitivity levels too. So I would say that if you are in a space where you're totally going to walk through the darkness and it's happening regardless, right? And it's started going, go seek support from someone. Don't do it alone. Some people try to do it alone, or they're embarrassed, or this. We're not. And right now in this world, we're in a place where you don't have to be embarrassed about it, where you don't have to be upset about it. We're in a place right now where it's accepting that we all have suffering. We're in a place where everybody accepts it. And there is no embarrassment about it. Why? Because we're all screwed up. All of us are. I'll be the first to admit it. I'm serious. I will go first so that you guys can feel comfortable with saying, yeah, we screwed up a little bit. It's okay. I'm a little bit, I make mistakes, It's funny because, part of it is that I think I do this and people think, oh, maybe she's perfect. I am not perfect. I am far from perfect. Don't even listen to me. I tell people, you don't even have to be on here listening to me. I go through hell. I go through everything. But that's what a spiritual alchemist does. Okay? That's what I call myself, a spiritual. And an alchemist goes through everything. Doesn't deny anything. We don't need to deny that we are a little bit afraid. We don't need to deny that we have anxiety. We don't need to deny that we're depressed. We don't need to deny that people were so embarrassed of this, because they designed it that way so people wouldn't talk about it. But we're all screwed up. Like, it's okay. I don't care. I'll just go through it. I'll be like, all right, I'm acting a little crazy today, and I'll admit it. Yeah, you're right. Acted like a 5-year-old child. Yeah, it's true. I'm sad. I'm depressed. I'm this. I'm that. I'm whatever. But we don't have to hide it. Okay, so there's no embarrassment. There's none of that anymore. It's okay to say I'm having a terrible day. You don't have to stay there though. That's the point. The point is like, okay, I'm having a terrible day. This too shall pass. And how do I move through those emotions to get to the other side so that I can create, like Betty, right? Betty creates her beautiful crochet hat, that white one was nice. I think everybody wanted it. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna go pick that up today. I'm just kidding. I'll be at your house in 5 minutes. Anywho. So, we all make mistakes, but we need to seek help. Yeah, and not sweep it under the rug. Yes, I love that, Mom. That's very true. I think, and that's the point. It's like, I think, and I'm just going to throw it out there. I think in your generation, and it wasn't by fault, it was by design. They literally designed a world like that purposefully to screw everyone up. I mean, the entire system, the systemic system, everything, organizational, the paradigm, right? The paradigms of consciousness was designed to literally take emotion out of the equation. It was taken completely out. I mean, we have whole religions like Scientology that take out emotion, or they take out the shadow emotions. And it's completely, let's be logical and rational. But the reality is that doesn't work, because it's not true, because we're not experiencing just facts. We're experiencing emotional states of being. And so now it's okay to feel that and to express it and talk about it. And it's time for people to really be authentic and be like, yeah, we all have that shit. I think back in the day, people hid it, right? They hid it. And they're like, don't tell them what's going on. I'll tell everybody. We don't tell no one my business. You all know I tell the whole Facebook community. I tell the whole world. I don't care. What is it? What is it gonna do? I'm gonna tell you how I feel. I feel like crap today. I feel good today. I feel happy. I feel depressed. I feel, and then it gives people permission. It gives them permission to recognize that we all have it. They're like, oh, she got it. Oh, she has it too. She got the sadness. She got the anxiety. She has it too. And then they go, oh, well, maybe we aren't so different, right? I'll walk around with the sad on the forehead or the happy or the joy and be like, here's what I am today. Who do I match up with? But we all have it. So it's just accept it. We all have family drama. We all have whatever drama. Everybody got it. Okay? Y'all got the drama. Let's put the D on the head. I think that can stay there. Like a little D. We'll have a little D and then it's happy drama. Sad drama. You know? And then what else? Drama. It's a double drama. Drama queen. I'm just kidding. Drama king. I don't know. But we all have it, okay? So there you go. So don't be afraid to express it. We're at a time where we can all support each other through this. It's a cosmic dark night of the soul. Because of that, everybody will be feeling that energy. And then the ones that are willing to accept that and say, oh yeah, we all have it, are the ones who are it's gonna be easier for you to go through the process rather than hard. And you're gonna be like, oh, there's a whole community on Spirit and Coffee. We totally go through all of that stuff. We support each other through that stuff. It's like nothing. It's like emotions. Of course we have emotions. You're saying we don't have emotions. You're funny. Ha ha, move on. You're like, we got emotion. And guess what? We got each other. So we all know that we got it. We all would look at each other. We don't have to pretend we ain't got drama. We just look at each other and be like, oh, you got drama too. Ha ha. Yep, drama. But I'm happy today, so who cares? You know what I mean? Oh, drama, haha, I'm sad today. Oh, maybe I should give him a hug. Okay? Just remember, please, or don't, it's up to you. But we all have it. And no family's perfect. So, get over that idea. That's the beauty. We're perfectly imperfect. And without the drama, we would have no fun. So, going through it. So I love you guys so much. Thank you for being a support because I literally have been going through a whirlwind of emotion, not used to it, but it's good. I'm healing, and that's what's important. As long as I heal, it's all that matters. As long as you heal, all that matters. Hopefully you guys will heal through this, and if you ever need support, please pray for my Sandra. Oh, please, everyone, pray for my friend Sandra Sanchez's sister, her husband. Oh, yes, please say prayers. And prayers for those who get COVID and get really sick and don't have the best outcome that, the families, they don't have the best outcome. Some people have great outcomes where they're just fine and others are dying, right? So pray for all of those families that are, from the hardship of this. And also the families that are impacted economically and financially and all that stuff. It's just all around. There's a lot of stuff happening for people, big things. So let's just pray for the world, pray for Sandra, pray for everybody. Okay, I love you guys. Have a great day, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye bye.